IncubatorWarehouse.com presents HatchTalk Podcast.
I am freaking panicking right now. I'm so angry. The freaking eggs that I just put into lockdown from Silky Plus, my super exciting Silky eggs from Ryan, I went to check to see if any had pipped because I put them into lockdown yesterday, I think. The incubator was freezing cold. It is broken. It is off. Don't know what happened. The eggs are freezing cold. Here, Kelly. We're gonna switch these out. I'm so mad. It's my Maybe Coop X, which is always trustworthy. I don't want to wait for another incubator to get going, so I'm just sticking them underneath Kelly. Thank you, girl. I literally just put them into lockdown and the incubator was working. I plugged them immediately into a different outlet to see if it was that. Like maybe that outlet's messed up. No, it's the incubator. So now I'm down an incubator and those freaking eggs that are supposed to be hatching tomorrow, I think. Who knows if they're gonna hatch now? And Ryan was so sweet and sent me those. And I'm just glad at least I went in there to check on them because I'm constantly watching. I'm telling you, me and Silkies.
All right. That's a common problem.
Yep.
Well, everybody, welcome to Hatch Talk. I'm Shawn Bailey.
Patrick Lyle.
And this is Hatch Talk. We are here to go through your incubation needs. It's February. It's hatching season. And nobody wants to wake up to that nightmare.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh my gosh.
You could hear the panic in her voice and see it on her face.
Definitely. That is not a good situation to be in. For sure. Yeah, you do not want to be behind the eight ball. This is why you test everything. Even when you test everything, sometimes you have parts fail on machines.
Yep. Unfortunately, that is a sad truth.
Yep, it sure is. And that happens more often than not. So, things that fail in your incubators. If you're a smart chicken hatcher, you're testing your equipment right now. You should plug it in, give it a strong 24, 48-hour check before, you start your hatch. But sometimes things go wrong. Mid-hatch, obviously without warning, sometimes things go wrong. You might have a thermometer break. You might get it. Hey, it's winter time. Power goes out too. What do you do?
Panic immediately, and just usually throw the whole thing out. No, just joking. So in her case of that video we just saw, I really think she handled it pretty appropriately. She had some backup broody hens. She's able to slide those eggs out there and get them taken care of.
Thank goodness.
I'm more than sure that they hatched just fine. It wasn't the end of the world there. But as you can see, even 17, 18, 19 days into incubation, something can fail. The whole incubator can just shut down on you, and you don't know where to start. Is it the power supply, the control module, the heater? What is it? You don't know. You got to rely on customer service and back and forth emails and things like that. So this podcast is kind of to help you guys figure out what and why something has failed and the best route to take. And don't worry, just because something fails even that far into a hatch, your hatch isn't shot. You're still good to go.
Yeah, you could still, salvage it as much as you can. It's pretty sad when the eggs are all cold when you go to check on them, though. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, that is bad. That is probably going to delay her hatch, maybe by a few hours, maybe by a day. But I have a strong feeling that Becky is going to do her job and get those eggs hatched.
Well, I admit, I've woken up and seen, even with the current hatch challenge, I'm like, oh, this isn't working. Like, oh, I'm down, and I take a breath. I'm like, it's okay. Reassure myself, I can do it. And things are okay. Like we were starting our emu hatches, and I came into the office and realized those eggs didn't turn like they were supposed to. We got to figure it out.
Yep.
And I replaced the motor, I replaced turners, and finally we got a workaround, and now we got a great emu, turner solution. So
yeah.
It worked.
Yeah. When these things like that happen, it rarely means that the hatch is ruined or it's an instant disaster. Usually it's something that can be dealt with and fixed, and you haven't really lost anything in the time in the process except for a little time.
Yep. Yep. Well, what common parts, after you've been incubating for a while, or even on a new one sometimes, what are the most common? You're the incubation wizard. I don't know if anybody knows this. Patrick has been in the ink business for a while. Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
So if something's go wrong with an incubator, this guy's the incubator wizard. He's a good way to troubleshoot it. What's the most common part you see going to failure?
So it's really model dependent, but an overall view of it, it's generally going to go something like this. We've got the egg turners,
Mhm.
the turner motors or the turners themselves failing. This could be caused by multiple different things. It could be some plastic spurs that have caught and burnt out your egg motor, or whatever the case may be. Generally, it's going to cost you to have to replace the egg turner motor, but that's okay. People have been turning by hands for years and years and years before egg turner motors came along. So you can power through that one. You'll be just fine. Um, Another thing that fails or is one of the top failure pieces, I would say, would probably be thermometers and hygrometers. Luckily they're not part of the incubator, but they are your trusted source for readouts. So if one of those fail halfway through or during your incubation process, don't worry. It's probably just a battery. It's generally nothing major. It can be replaced, and you can just rely on your incubator for the time being. It's not going to be the end of the world with that either. The next few parts that are gonna fail kind of are a little more detrimental. Um, the fans, depending on the model, I have seen fan failures before. Strangely enough, not to point fingers at any specific model, but there's a Hovabator 2370 and it has the option for you to turn the fan on and off. Something about that particular model, I see fan failures probably more so than other models. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean it happens a lot. That's just kind of the standout when I think of it. And generally, in that case, you're going to have to contact either a parts replacement place or wherever you got the incubator from for warranty replacement. That one can be a little iffy here and there, um, but again, not super super detrimental to your hatch. People have used still air incubators for years and years and years, so you can adjust, you can adapt, and you can overcome that problem. Now, here's where it gets bad. Thermostats are probably next on the list for what I
Mm.
see fail. That is bad. That is the brain of the incubator. Um, Odds are, if you don't have a backup incubator or a broody Becky sitting out there in the coop waiting, that can be very detrimental to your hatch. You may lose the whole hatch if you don't have a way to get those eggs back in some heat, and back in a proper environment for incubation. Um, and probably one of the last things on the list, and something I rarely ever see fail, but it has happened a time or two, heating elements themselves. They can burn out, depending on how old the unit is. Like some of the older cabinet models uses a coil wire. Over time, those can just kind of burn or singe out on the ends, and they can't be used anymore, have to be replaced. Um, Again, that is very detrimental to your hatch. It's generally, in my personal opinion, the thermostats and the heating elements themselves. That's what's going to be kind of like a deal breaker for a good hatch. You're going to really struggle if you don't have a backup incubator or a broody hen of some sort to put the eggs under, because those are the two most important parts of the incubator.
It's always good to have a plan B,
Yeah,
just
always
in
good,
case.
always good.
Yep.
And I used to think I was the weird one for having multiple incubators in my house, and turns out after watching a lot of videos and stuff like that, I'm not the only one. So it's
Yeah.
it's good to have a backup. You never know when your favorite incubator might bite the dust, and you've got to throw it in the old dirty backup.
Yeah, and I assume, if it's plugged in, it's probably working. But you never know. Like, especially with fans and thermostats, you got to watch it, check it, test it, make sure it's working.
Yep,
And,
yep,
and a big thing, I mean, what would you say the biggest thing to keep things from breaking is obviously maintenance, right? A lot
yep.
of people are lazy, sometimes like myself. And when those little baby chicks hatch, and it's still locked down, you're waiting for them to hatch. There's a lot of little feathers floating up, getting in fans, getting everything. You want to make sure it's good blowout done when you do your clean out of your incubator.
Yep.
That I think that could be a big problem.
Yeah, yeah. Any of that, I call it chick dander. Any of that chick dander that builds up on the fan,
Yep.
the heating elements, things like that, that can definitely over time cause some issues. In my time here, I've had some returns come back from warranted incubators where it just something didn't sound right. Like I couldn't quite put my finger on
Excuse
why
me.
that unit had failed. So when that happens, I like to just send the customer a return label so I can get that faulty part back and check it out. And I would say 75-80% of the time, it's just because it got really nasty. It just wasn't maintained. It wasn't well cared for, and it caused early onset failure of the incubator.
Yep, if that's a good way to, get your incubator broken, is if you don't do a little maintenance between incubations. Make sure it's a good clean out. Get yourself some of the air. All it is that compressed air cans.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to get all that chicken dander out. So
Yep.
that's really important. Many failures happen, especially for your incubators. It's a gradual thing. Like you'll like, especially for like a lot of the heating elements, you'll notice it's just not keeping heating elements slowly, and just not keeping up with stuff. So if you're tracking it and you're watching it, might be starting to think it, and then it'll automatically just stop work.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that could be dramatic. But do test runs. That'll reveal weak points. I think a big part, also something to watch out for, especially for tabletop incubators, like the Nurture Right. Um, People often don't get it set, the lid set tight on the right. Like either we have the risers for our emu eggs, but even on the actual base of it, if it's not set in tight, moisture and humidity will pour out.
Yep.
So make sure it's set in tight. And that's
And
just,
go ahead,
not,
Shawn.
I was saying that's just not great design, unfortunately, for some things.
Yeah.
But
Um, some models like that, some with those dome setups like that, they do have a little notch that you can line it up with to know that you're on there. But yeah, that's kind of one of the faults, I guess you can say, of the dome style incubators, is making
yeah,
sure that dome is secure on there.
yeah, and that's a common thing that people think, it's broken. It won't work. No,
Yep.
it user error, unfortunately.
Yeah. And something I was just thinking of, something I forgot to mention. Rarely does it happen, but it can happen. Your power supply can actually fail itself, especially
Oh,
that style that has the brick on it. If that happens, generally can be replaced with most other power supplies. Just make sure the amperage and the volts match up, and you're good to go. But if you do have an incubator and it's under a year old, depending on the brand, it never hurts to reach out to the manufacturer or the place you got it from to see if they can't, warranty it or make sure you get the right replacement parts.
yeah, and I mean that. How many hatches should you expect out of a good solid incubator? I mean, obviously it's going to be different between a cabinet and like a tabletop.
Yeah, yeah. I I don't want to shoot myself in the foot here, but for me personally, I feel a tabletop unit should give you several hundred hatches.
Yeah,
In a good in a it, with a good model, if you will. Cabinet incubators, high hundreds, low thousands, before anything is failed. Generally, what we see, um, I've seen them fail on their first run, and I've seen them fail 3 or 4 or 5 years after they've bought them. So it's really hit and miss. But doing your due diligence when you're shopping, reading reviews, things like that, that'll definitely help you make sure you're not getting one that's a known lemon, if you will.
yeah. Nobody wants a lemon, for sure. I mean, you'll see it in the ratings, honestly. So that, and some things, you know, like some like the Nurture Rights, like they're good, solid platforms, but parts do fail on them. But you can get a replacement part for them.
Yep, yep, you
And
can, you can.
I mean, incubatorwarehouse.com is one of the places where you can get them,
Yeah.
and actually
So
find them. So
to be honest, a lot of manufacturers the manufacturer who makes the Nurture 360 or the Maticoops or the Cabonics, those style of incubators, um, you don't really see a parts distributor for them. So here at Incubator Warehouse, we've actually taken upon ourselves to source those parts, have those parts on hand, and they've it's come in quite handy for people who are out there looking for replacement parts for a lot of these models that it just doesn't exist. So yeah, if you do have a Nurture 360 or a Matty Coop or Cabonics or Hovabator, Little Giant, one of our Incubator Warehouse incubators, generally we've got you covered because we know that it's just sometimes easier and quicker and more cost effective to just replace the part rather than the whole incubator.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 it is.
Yep, yep.
For sure, for sure. So, which failures actually ruin a hatch and which don't, you know? So, critical failures, obviously prolonged temperature loss, like we saw at the beginning of this episode, that can have a big dramatic on your hatch rate for sure,
Yep,
especially if it's over a long period of time, if it's overheating or too cold.
yep. Um, so generally, in my personal opinion, the only things that are 100% detrimental to your hatch is if you have an actual thermostat failure or a heater failure.
Hmm.
Um, Anything else you can kind of work your way around. You can limp through it if you will, But if that thermostat goes out or that heater goes out, I mean, that's the whole point of the incubator. That is a critical failure, and that is probably going to cost you your hatch at that point.
Obviously, temperature is going to be the biggest part, right?
Yep.
Um, and humidity, I mean, it's not huge unless it's like a lockdown situation. But even during a lockdown, I mean, you just have to worry about shrink wrapping the chicks if some of them aren't open when they're pecking or not. And
Yep.
you can remedy that too, you know. Uh, get a spray bottle, spray the eggs down if you don't have the humidity. I mean,
Yep.
that's what they do in a lot of already humid climates, like where they like these guys over in the Philippines or Africa where it's like 100% humidity all the time. They don't worry about humidity. They just
Nope.
keep the eggs more wet.
Yeah. 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 More or less. And there are times where you could overdo it on the humidity, and you can
Yeah.
drown a chick that's pipping and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that. But that's really a rare occurrence. Um, but yeah, as far as not adding any kind of water or anything to your incubator, we call that dry hatching, and that is we're gonna have to we can do a whole episode on dry hatching
I
versus
I think
traditional hatching.
I think we will.
Yeah, yeah,
dry
yep,
dry hatching is something that works in certain climates, but it doesn't work in other climates.
yep. If you got a high relative humidity, you can pull it off. Generally, you don't have to add any water till the last 3 days. But for most of us, that's not the case.
Yeah. True. True. And like we were saying a little bit earlier, if the egg turner stops working, it's not the end of the world. You
Nope,
know, you just got
nope.
to
And
turn the eggs yourself.
one thing I've noticed is when a minor failure happens, the hatch usually only fails when there's a lot of human panic involved.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my egg turner quit turning, this whole hatch is ruined, I had to throw my eggs out, blah blah blah. No, you didn't have to throw your eggs out. You can hand turn eggs. It's not the easiest thing to do, but as far as time consuming, I guess. But it's going to save your hatch. It only needs to be done 3 times a day generally, and it's just not it's not the end of the world if something like that happens. That's kind of one of the worst feelings is when I get an email or I get a message from somebody, and they're like, oh, this minor thing happened and I made a major reaction towards it,
Mhm.
and just ruined the whole hatch. And it stinks that's how people react sometimes, but it's human nature. It is what it is. You think a component has failed, so therefore the whole thing is done with or whatever it may be. But if something happens to where something like your turner or one of the minor parts ends up failing, there's always a backup plan. There's always a way for you to save that hatch until either you get some replacement parts or you can fix the problem yourself.
True. That's true. And
Oh,
that's the biggest thing. What do you do the moment something fails? The biggest thing you can do is remain calm,
mhm.
think about it, have a good response. Reach out to resources. Check and see if there's a helpline with the incubator that you called the manufacturer. Ask AI, honestly. That has been a big resource for me lately. To
Yeah.
troubleshoot things, you're just like, oh, okay, well then try this. If the power goes out, what could you do? You know, if you have a tabletop incubator, take it out to your car, turn the car on. If you have an AV adapter, plug it back in the car. You want to keep that ambient temperature, or if you don't have that option, wrap it in a bunch of blankets. Who knows
Yep.
when the power is going to go back on, but do it smart.
Yep. Yep. And this isn't the case for everybody, but personally, I've had an incubator set up here at the warehouse. It had a power outage or something had failed overnight, and it spent the whole night in the middle of winter or not running. And when I came in the next day, everything was so cold, and I was just like, man, did I just toast this hatch? But I didn't give up. I fixed the problem, got everything fired back up, and my hatch only ended up being about a day late. And I think I ended up, if I recall from that one specifically, high 70s, low 80s on my hatch rate. So
That's
I
not
wasn't
bad.
too upset about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is it can. I mean, you don't have to throw all the eggs out if something like
Yeah.
that happens. Just try to recoup.
Yep. Yep, yep. And I kind of want to say the video we watched at the beginning of the podcast, if it was me personally, I probably would have just fired up one of my backup incubators like she said she had. But I understand the panic, especially when you're dealing with special eggs or whatever. So, her first move was to get them back into the incubation process by getting them under a broody hen, which isn't a bad backup, but you could definitely sense the panic that was there.
Yeah, and even if you could just get it under the broody head for a minute till your incubator gets fired up and up to temp, that's not a bad idea.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Well, Patrick, I guess you know what time it is then.
It's my favorite time of the podcast.
Let's watch some
Crap it.
clips from around the internet. We're gonna do some little Coop It or Crap It.
Is it a useful tip or just clickbait? Is it a chicken hack or is it just crap? Keep it in your coop or flush it like poop. We clip the net, we rate the scoop. Coop it or crap it.
Farmer Katie on TikTok. Here we go.
Don't load that incubator until you finish watching this video. We all want hens so we can have eggs, right? This tip may help increase your odds of getting more hens to rooster ratio. I did it last year and I had about 70% hens and 30% roosters. So what we're looking for is egg shape. This is the rounded end, the blunt end, where the air sac is, which helps in the chick's development. This is a pointier end. And the old wives' tale is the pointy ends are roosters. This is definitely a rooster. See that shape? Granted, eggs have different shapes, but see how much more of a point we have here and how much more rounded we have there. So this is going in the rooster pile. Have you tried this? Did it work? Did you have more hens than roosters? The incubator has been running and stabilized. We're gonna reset the day and time on it and load it up with some beautiful chicken eggs. Hopefully these are all hens after we only picked out the ones with the rounded blunt end bottoms and nothing pointy. Copper has been doing a great job for quality control. Look at that beautiful incubator loaded up. I'm Farmer Katie of Healing Homestead.
Can you tell the sex of a chicken before it's even hatched by the egg shape? What do you think?
Absolutely not. No, there's no way. There's no way that the egg shape is going to determine the sex of your chicken. I do not see how that is scientifically possible. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely not.
I've seen a lot of stuff out there of like, okay, how do you get more hens that everybody hates. There's a lot of rooster hate out there. I'm just saying.
Yep, there is.
Lot
There is.
lot of rooster hate. I know we want the hens because they have the delicious eggs. They're great. But, roosters aren't bad either. People, come on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I mean, I don't think there is an effective way to boost your hen rate out there. I've seen the shape of the egg before. I've seen people try to refrigerate the eggs overnight before you put them into the incubator, and I have not seen one result where people are like, definitely this is it.
Yeah, that is absolutely wild. I I don't want to crap on an old wives' tale, but I would definitely put this into the crap it category. Um, I feel like it's probably a waste of time, and you could very well just be throwing out some perfectly good eggs that you don't want to incubate.
I agree. Up next, we have Holly Harvest. All right, we got Holly Harvest. Here's some useful tips when you're loading your incubator for the first time with eggs. So no cracks, no weird shapes. Fresh, unwashed is best, definitely. Fertilized eggs only,
Fertile eggs only.
obviously. Do not incubate tiny pullet eggs or jumbo eggs. If you have the right incubator, you could. Eggs stored over 10 days. Your breeds matter. Yes, they do. Later breeds. Fast hatcher. Yeah, maybe. Um, yeah, my bantams actually did hatch early too, so I don't know. But good incubator setup, yeah. 99.5, good humidity. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
good
yeah,
information.
yeah, some okay information. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, when I see a jumbo egg come out of a normal sized hen, that's used to laying normal sized eggs, I automatically think double yolk. And
Yeah,
yes, I want to try to hatch a twin chick, so I'm putting that thing in the incubator.
exactly. Me too. I try to put it like if I see a double yolk, I'm like, ooh, Siamese twins, maybe. Let's see some
Uh,
freaks.
I have heard bantams usually hatch a day early. I haven't heard the information about the lighter breeds versus the heavier breeds taking longer, hatching quicker, or anything like that. But I have heard that about bantams.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some good knowledge, some okay knowledge. I
Yeah,
mean, the
yeah,
10-day window, yeah, there was ideal, but I mean, we saw something the other day. It doesn't have to be 10 days, it could be 3 weeks.
yeah. Greenfire Farms totally blew that out of the water for us.
Exactly. All right. Up next, we have our tiny homestead.
Black copper Moran's eggs are so dark that it can be really difficult to see inside their shell when you're candling them during incubation. But I found a method that makes it easier, so I'm going to share it with you. So the tip is very simple. This is my darkest black copper Moran's egg, and with the naked eye, I could not see any movement in this egg. But I pulled out my phone and started recording, and then all of a sudden I could see better inside the egg. I don't know what it is, but my phone's camera somehow manipulates the lighting and allows me to see what's going on inside the egg better. So if you have really dark eggs that you're trying to candle and you just can't see what's going on inside, try pulling your phone out and using the camera and looking on your screen, and it may just show you what's inside the egg a little bit better. So I hope this tip helps.
Okay.
So your black, copper Moran eggs, I mean, they are a darker egg. If you have a really nice, candler, like an IncuView, you could definitely see it with a good candler. But I mean, I like this trick to pull out your camera. I don't know if it's like just a good, see it with your phone. I know when I was trying to see the aurora borealis, for some reason I couldn't see it with my eyes, but I could see it with my phone.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely, I I'm torn. I've had some candlers that aren't that great. Generally, when I'm using the Incubright, I don't have any issues, even with the darker, like the copper marin eggs. But yeah, just like you said, how it helped pick up that light from the aurora borealis, I could definitely see just the way the phone cameras work. Maybe being able to give you a clearer, brighter shot of what's in that egg if you need it.
Yeah. And obviously we can't tell from a video because it's shot from a phone.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. I'll have to get some of those eggs and see myself.
yeah. Do a little testing.
For sure.
One of my favorite hatching tricks is using these non-slip shelf liners for lockdown. I'll usually just cut these to size and place the eggs on there. and I've seen an improvement with the splayed legs and their overall health.
I could definitely see that how that would help with the splay leg.
Yeah.
Not sure how it would help with overall health, but definitely give them some footing so you wouldn't have to worry about any kind of splay leg issues.
It's also going to help you clean it up a little easier too.
Yeah, definitely could be. Definitely could be.
Yeah, if you really want to avoid splay leg, you got to make sure it's not a slick surface. So having, the liner does make sense. So
Yep.
yeah, I'd keep it. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely a keeper.
That's a swimming chicken. It's a chicken of the sea.
So I have heard that most chickens can float and can swim. However, this is the bad part. If they're left in there too long, they actually take on too much water and start to sink. So they don't have that protective oil like the ducks or geese do. So their down eventually gets a little too soaked and down they go.
That makes sense. All right. Well, here's the Southern Lake Ranch.
Well, I came out to the run to check for eggs, and
that's not a
found
chicken.
a hawk in here.
Ooh.
So, unfortunately, we have at least 5 chickens that are no more. And, yeah. You, Mr. Hawk, were not part of my plan this evening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you.
You don't want to see that when you go out to your coop.
I'll get you out of here in just a little bit.
No.
There is a hawk.
You got to be very careful about how you handle this too.
Yeah.
It must have, oh my gosh.
What would you do? Did you take the chickens out and then take the hawk out?
It would depend. Probably in this case, with it being late at night, I wouldn't take the chickens out.
Oh my gosh.
How did it get in there?
I don't know.
He's like,
there we go. Oh my god.
He wasn't want to leave without that kill.
Yeah. It's a good looking Cooper's hawk there. Yeah. And odds are those chickens that are dead most likely died from a heart attack from the hawk being in there rather than the hawk actually killing them.
I thought I'd be holding the hawk.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's a beautiful hawk.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, the talons on those things, they're nasty.
Yeah.
Stay away from our chickens.
All right. See you free, buddy.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, have you had many pests going in your chicken coop?
I have. Where I lived, that I had my bigger coop and run set up. It was pretty common for raccoons to get in there. Every now and then a hawk would make its way into my run. Never made it into my coop, luckily. But when you're dealing with raptors, there's a lot of laws and regulations. So it's very important that you do not do anything that's detrimental to the life of that bird, because it may have killed your flock, may have killed 1 or 2 of your chickens or all of them, but legally you cannot kill that bird. You have to release it.
Yep, for sure. All right.
Confused. So we are trying to hatch baby zombie chicks. And this incubator right here is the one we used last time, and literally all of the eggs failed.
Oh.
They started, growing, and then they failed. And that's the only time this has ever happened to me. So after those failed, I tried in here, and it looks like at least some of these guys are hatching. They go into lockdown today, so we will see. But this is the second batch I've had in here. So they've been in there for 10 days. And they look like they're failing too. And I do not understand. I keep all of the settings about the same, and I've hatched plenty of chicks before. But for whatever reason, these eggs just will not hatch.
I'd like to see her test her egg turner.
Now we have a few more days for these guys to see if they're going to hatch, but it looks like they're progressing just fine. So if these guys hatch and all of these fail again, I don't know what is going on. Does anybody know? Has anyone else dealt with this? Like, I've hatched probably 20 incubators of different things, including with this incubator, and never had an issue. Either way, I'm excited for these guys. I really hope
there's
they
a
hatch.
lot of,
Otherwise, I'm going to be devastated.
especially with the designer
Our first chick
breed like that. You got to worry about maybe it's just not a good viable partner. You know, they're trying to get the zombie chickens.
Yeah, my new obsession with chickens, by the way.
Yeah, these guys right here.
Yep. Which, for anybody wondering, a
also
zombie
called
chicken is just a
mini
black-skinned
chickens, but
chicken like the Ayam Saramis that's been crossbred with like a leghorn or a lighter feathered chicken, giving them that crazy cool look that you see right there.
Yeah, they are cool.
As far as hers not hatching from her Nurture Ray 360, but from her little giant, I would definitely think that there's some sort of issue either with the egg turner or something like that that's just not allowing the eggs to do what they need to do to properly, grow and hatch.
Yeah, I would do I don't know what her prep work was, but I mean, definitely a 48-hour test if that was the second time that happened. See what's going on with the machine. What's the most common thing you see fail on a Nurture Right like that?
Generally the Turner motor. That's usually one of the things that goes the most. I would definitely say it's one of our top selling replacement parts for the Nurture Ray 360. And I did notice she did show her hatch timer. Another thing people forget to do is reset that hatch timer sometimes between hatches. And if it's already set down to 3 days or below, it's not going to turn your eggs regardless. So that's always something I always have customers check, when they reach out to us about that kind of stuff.
No, yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, it's nice to have like a hatch timer that stops turning, right before lockdown. But if you didn't reset it or something happened, that could be a problem.
Yep.
All right, here's another one. This is from Bella Boy.
Very, very expensive eggs. This is the worst possible update that I could give y'all. For those that don't know, we are incubating chicken eggs and not a single one has hatched. They were supposed to hatch yesterday and I was giving them until the end of tomorrow, but as of right now, not a single baby has come out. So there's a few things that I think that went wrong. So the reason why we have the weight on top of the incubator is because the lid wasn't shutting flush and it wasn't holding humidity. I looked up reviews and it seems like a lot of people have issues with the humidity with it, which is also what I struggled with. I just couldn't get the humidity up no matter what. I had the whole water tray filled to the top. It was actually starting to spill over and I still couldn't get the humidity to where I wanted it. And then second, most of these
it could have been too much water.
I had them shipped in from a farmer out of state. And honestly, I think that they just got scrambled in the shipping process. When you order eggs online to hatch, it's always a gamble. So yesterday there were two wiggling a lot. It was these two right here. I haven't seen movement from any of the other eggs. These are two eggs from our chickens and the rest of them were the ones that I had shipped in. I think I'm gonna find someone local to get some eggs from next time. It's definitely not the update that I wanted to give y'all. I was really excited for these babies to hatch. I'm still gonna leave the incubator running until probably the end of day tomorrow, or at least this time tomorrow, just in case. And then if nothing happens, I'll have to throw them out and start over.
So, I mean, here's the problem. A couple things I would say. Number one, it's not that great of an incubator.
Not at all.
That incubator looked like it came straight from Temu.
Yep. If there's ever a cartoon drawing of a chicken on an incubator, it's not going to be a good incubator.
And no wonder the lid doesn't seal tight.
Yeah.
The problem with cheap incubators, especially like that, if all the temperatures are not right with cheap plastic, you're gonna get malformations.
Mm-hmm.
So unless all the temperatures are the same, it's gonna have problems sealing, which is gonna cause problems throughout. So, people just make a little investment. Get a nicer incubator if you want better hatch rates. First off,
yeah. As soon as she said expensive eggs and I saw the incubator she was using, I knew that there was going to be an issue there. It's never good. You don't ever want to cheap out on your incubator. Not saying that all incubators that are low cost are going to be cheaper or crappy, but in most cases, read those reviews first if you're ordering something like that. Always read your reviews, especially if you're ordering off like Amazon, eBay, those kind of places. You don't really have to worry about it as much when you're ordering from, Incubator Warehouse or GQF or whatever. But if you're ordering online from a place that's notorious for having foreign retailers, always read those reviews and definitely test it with some of your own eggs or some cheap eggs before you put in the expensive shipped eggs. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like that was a recipe for disaster. A little side note there, though, if your lid's not sealing and it's holding temperature, but humidity's having a hard time staying up, just get yourself a little cup with a sponge in there. Add some more surface area so you can get some higher humidity. For all we know, the problem could be that the lid is on too tight. There's not enough fresh air circulating through it now, and your eggs are suffocating. I remember our original model of the IncuView. We specifically kind of had it built to where the lid fit good, but the lid was never tight fitting because we wanted that fresh air to be able to circulate in and out. So that's just something to keep in mind. That stinks. Sorry that happened to you, ma'am, but you definitely got to do a little bit of work on researching those incubators and testing them out a bit before you put anything expensive in there.
Especially if you're new at incubating.
Yeah.
Don't have high expectations for your first round. This one, we're just on things failing. Here's a great one about that.
Story time. Hang with me. Incubation disaster. My first time. I ordered zombie chicken eggs, 3 of them. She sent 5. I was like, yay! There's the incubator. Came in, overnight shipping. Got a thermometer, put it inside like everybody says. Ordered the eggs, let them rest for 24 hours after shipping. And got them in the incubator. These are what the little butt nuggets are going to look like. How cute are they if they survive? Enter the 3 a.m. disaster. This thing dies, starts beeping nonstop. I do the unplug in, plug it back in, left it unplugged for 10 seconds, did it again. Nothing's working. I'm not an electrician. I don't know how to do all the fuses and all that kind of stuff. So, order a new incubator immediately. Overnight shipping. Fashion this thing together MacGyver style. Plastic tub, bowl of water, eggs in, thermometer, warm and light. And then I'm like, ooh, I might set the house on fire. I've got to take this thing to work. There's me. So, pack it up, head to work. So all the hairstyles become incubation masters. And there's the eggs. Ooh, I don't know about that one. But yeah, incubator's going great. See ya.
Okay, that was interesting.
Yeah, well, okay. I would do a longer test. That was a brand new incubator, and you only do it for maybe 24 hours. If you're getting a brand new incubator, especially one that's not amazing, I don't know. I would get a long test on it first.
Yep. And so that particular model that they're using, I'm actually testing one very similar to it behind me. I'm having pretty good luck. Everything seems to be developing and coming across just nicely. But we did notice that these were becoming kind of a common imported incubator, if you will. So just to get ahead of everything and make sure that problems like this can be better fixed, we're actually going to be carrying parts for this model of incubator as well. So if you do have that incubator and something's failed, give us a little bit. We're waiting for our first batch to come in and get everything put into the system, but we will be carrying replacement parts for that model of incubator as well. It's quite common it's a common incubator from China. Several different factories make it, but internally they're pretty much all the same.
Yep. But I like what she did there, though. Like, she remained calm. She came up with another option. Yeah, okay, make a makeshift incubator. She got a tote, got a heat lamp, got some water on a sponge. I mean,
yeah, she
do what
she did. She did the best she could. Yeah, you can't fault her for that. And I'm curious to see. It stinks that she had to overnight an incubator.
Yeah.
But hopefully everything worked out for her and her zombie chickens hatched.
Yeah. I tell you what, I kind of want to get a zombie chicken. They do look cool.
Yeah, they're really cool looking.
All right, we're gonna do a couple more hacks real quick. Let me pull this up.
You hang your feeders just at the right height for the chickens so they can't flick all this extra feed out onto the ground and waste it and attract rats and mice. This is the feeder that I have that hangs off the ground that they can only just put their heads into. So you can see on the ground here, no waste. A great trick in case your chickens are wasting tons of food.
That's why you should hang your feeder. It'll save you on food costs for sure, because chickens are peckers, and they like
Yep.
to scratch and peck and pick, and they'll waste. But if it's a moving target. It's going to make it almost easier for them to grab food and to eat it, because they're concentrating a little more. If they're
Yeah.
If it's like that clip from Moana where the chicken is just automatically tapping at whatever, and he just moves the food over to it. That's how chickens are.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Small brains, very messy eaters.
Yeah. Or I mean, if you want to get like a pop and lock, I mean that's a great thing to do to help save on food costs. You know, get a bucket and put that in. That way you don't spilling out.
Yep. Yep.
Good little hack. Hang the food. I thought about doing that in my little brooder for my little chicks, because they're a lot of food everywhere.
Oh yeah, they're terrible.
All right, here's another one. Okay. Egg production hack. A scoop of cat food everywhere every other day during winter. Huh. Cat food.
High in protein.
I mean, if a chicken is going to eat it.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to feed my chickens cat food, but
I don't know if I want to feed my cat food.
Yeah. Yeah. To each their own on that. I think that this is just another way to supplement, protein and extra vitamins and minerals to them, but it can be done several different ways. I probably wouldn't personally feed my chickens cat food though.
Yeah. I mean, to each his own, but I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a cheap hack, I guess, if cat food's cheap.
Yeah, it works.
I mean, I have barn cats, so he gets mice.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Refresh that.
Farmers use rolling chicken coops. This practice offers 3 key advantages. First, the coops protect chickens from aerial predators like hawks and eagles. Second, because they roll, they don't restrict movement. Chickens can still roam freely and forage naturally. Finally, when it's time to gather the flock, farmers can catch them much more easily than with traditional setups. Compared to conventional fencing, these rolling coops are significantly more practical.
I've seen the chicken balls before. I think they're actually pretty cool. They're right up there with there's another thing that people are doing where they build chicken tunnels where it's paths with chicken wire over them.
I like the chicken tunnel. The chicken ball seems like a good way. if my HOA would let me keep chickens at the house instead of going out in the country, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Walk around the yard.
It works for hamsters and chinchillas and guinea pigs. Why not chickens too?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I have a feeling my dog personally would terrorize them and roll them all over the yard, though.
I have a feeling a teenager might just punt a chicken. Oh, well, that's cool. Okay, I mean,
it's different, yeah.
I've never seen a chicken in a ball, but there it is. Thanks, internet. All right. Now,
break.
Let me refresh this.
The tip to know which chickens are laying and which are not. Look at their combs, and if they're pale, it means that they're taking a break, and if they're bright and red, it means that those ones are currently laying eggs. How many in your flock are laying? Here's a tip to know which chickens are laying.
So, depending on the color of the comb, you can tell if they're laying or not?
I don't feel like I've heard that before.
Huh.
Nor have I noticed. I feel like if I had a chicken with a nice red, comb and wattle and they went pale, I'd be concerned.
Yeah, I think it'd be a frostbite, first sign of frostbite.
Yeah. I have seen that in younger pullets where, but right before they start laying, they're kind of a lighter, they're more pale looking, but once they start laying, it does get red, but I've never seen it from when they take a break from laying. So,
well, obviously this is, subject to the type of chicken. But I don't know. Drop a comment if this is true. Let us know. I don't think I've ever noticed.
Yeah, same.
The chicken catch you.
On feeder is actually gravity fed, and a lot of you had questions. How does the feed get from the back of the box to the front of the box? And I wanted to quickly show you inside this feeder, we actually have a board that starts a little bit higher up in the back, and then it slants down to the front where the chicken feeder ports are. That allows the grain to fall down from the back down to the front, and that way there's no waste ever in this box. Let's see if we can do this on the first try. Ooh, baby, that's good.
All right, so I mean, if you have a lot of chickens and a good enclosed chicken run, that's a cool little feeder setup he's got there.
That is a very cool little feeder setup.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I was a little confused about why he had to use an auger, but besides that.
I think he was mixing the food.
Oh, okay.
I think he was mixing the food for that paint mixer, because you see he's got one kind of pellets here, and then there's some darker pellets. So I think he's got some different seed and stuff in there too.
Okay.
But
that's nice.
That's a great setup. Yeah. I mean, if I had a whole lot of chickens, I would definitely build something very similar to this. I've seen the ones where people put like gravity feeders like in a big, PVC pipes, which work great, but you're having to do a lot more lifting up taller and stuff. That little shed built onto the run there, I think that's a great idea.
That is inventive. That is probably one of the best
and to think
inventions or ideas I've seen so far.
I don't even think you even have to buy or make. I think he made this like the metal roof and everything. I think you can get one of those storage sheds like the plastic ones that pop open, and you could just mount it up just like that too. Put the same kind of angled thing there.
Yeah.
And then you could screw a couple of popping locks on it.
Yeah, definitely a great idea. I like it. I'd run that myself if I had a big enough flock.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, it come to that time. It's the time of the end of the episode. I think we learned a lot. You know?
I hope so.
Just because a part fails on your incubator doesn't mean the whole, hatch is ruined. You got to keep a cool head, problem solve it, try to figure it out, and you can prevail.
Don't do anything goofy when you're panicking. Do not panic and ruin your own hatch.
Yep. And we found some good chicken hacks and some crappy ones, but it is what it is. Keep sending us your chicken videos. Drop a comment if there is a chicken myth you want us to research or try next. And let us know what you're hatching too.
Yep. And until next time, everybody, I'm Patrick Lyle.
Yeah, and I'm Shawn Bailey. Happy hatching, everybody.
Happy hatching, y'all.